Pennsylvania is ground zero for America's most unexpected housing reversal in decades. In 2025, the state's 5 largest cities, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, York, and Allentown, are witnessing the kind of real estate collapse once thought impossible in the heart of the Northeast. This is more than a slowdown, more than a correction. It is a profound shift, reshaping communities, fortunes, and futures. And if you're watching Housing Intel, you're about to see why the headlines still haven't caught up to the whole story. Pennsylvania's reputation has always rested on stability. Unlike the wild swings of Florida or California, the Keystone State played it steady, riding out national booms and busts with measured confidence. But in 2025, that narrative is broken. There's a chill in the air from the Delaware River to the rolling hills of the Lehigh Valley. Home prices are falling in every corner. Inventory is surging. Buyers are vanishing. And sellers are bracing for losses they never expected. This is the kind of correction that rewrites everything. Before we dive deep into each city, a word of warning. Subscribe to Housing Intel now. The numbers in this episode don't just tell a local story. They preview what's poised to come for the rest of America. If you want data, analysis, and market intelligence before the headlines hit, you're in the right place. Pennsylvania's cities are weathering storms from every angle. High interest rates, now well above 6%, have frozen demand everywhere. Insurance premiums are climbing, especially in flood-prone and urban areas. Taxes are up, in some cases dramatically. Investors who flooded markets at the height of the pandemic rush are now leaving, pulling listings, slashing prices, and accepting losses. Homeowners who bought between 2020 and 2022 are waking up underwater, owing more than their properties are worth. Renters face rising vacancies, but rental prices are not falling fast enough to lure them back. Every city has local twists. But the forces shaping this collapse, economic uncertainty, monetary policy, investor retreat, demographic shifts, are playing out across all 5 giants of Pennsylvania. Let's begin our countdown with Allentown, the 3rd largest city in Pennsylvania and the beating heart of the Lehigh Valley. Just a few years ago, Allentown's housing market was booming. The pandemic sent thousands fleeing coastal cities for affordable space and opportunity in Pennsylvania's mid-sized metros. Allentown was a prime target. Its logistics sector was expanding, new housing developments mushroomed across the valley, and city officials spoke of a new golden age for the region. Listings that hit the market vanished in days, often after bidding wars that would have been unthinkable before 2020. But in 2025, that era is over. Allentown faces a classic boom-bust cycle. Median home prices have fallen by about 11% since the peak, erasing years of gains. Inventory is up by more than 40% across Lehigh County, leaving both new builds and classic homes lingering unsold. Suburbs like Emmaus and Macungie, which had been epicenters of frenetic new construction, now look eerily quiet as rows of homes wait for buyers who never show. The logistics and distribution industries that fueled Allentown's prosperity have slowed. Nationwide retail contraction has left warehouses empty, job postings are down, hiring freezes are up, and wage growth has stalled. Thousands of local workers are now hesitant to buy, fearing layoffs and more uncertainty. Builders have responded by pulling back sharply. New construction permits are down, incentives and discounts are up. Some developers are canceling projects outright. Landlords find themselves in a bind as rental demand softens. Many are cutting rents or selling altogether, worried about being trapped in negative equity if prices keep falling. Yet Allentown is far from lifeless. Its walkable neighborhoods and commuter-friendly highways remain attractive assets. and redevelopment projects in the downtown area are ongoing. But sentiment has shifted. Stores close early, foot traffic is thinning, and sellers increasingly realize that buyers have the upper hand. Allentown's boom has reversed. This is not a collapse, but a dramatic correction. A simple truth refracted across the city's streets. No market is immune to gravity. Just down the road lies York, once a quiet center of stability, now a fierce cautionary tale. Between Baltimore and Harrisburg, York played the role of Pennsylvania's next best thing, an affordable market with room to grow and easy commutes to major cities. When the pandemic hit, buyers from out of state poured in, snapping up homes, driving prices upward, and fueling a local economy that seemed to boom overnight. But the promise has soured. In 2025, prices are down by 15 to 18% across York's best zip codes. Neighborhoods that once saw heated bidding wars and instant closings now watch listings linger for months. Even entry-level properties have trouble finding interest. The flush of out-of-state buyers has dried up. Now, most locals are simply unable to afford the inflated prices left behind by the surge. Builders have pulled back, new projects have stalled, and open houses are routinely empty. Sellers who bet on quick profits have resorted to slashing asking prices, offering closing credits, and trying every creative financing method they can muster, with limited results. The gap between what sellers want and what buyers can afford is wider than ever. York County, meant to be a bastion of predictable returns and steady growth, is lost. Compounding this decline are rising insurance premiums, local tax hikes, and a rising tide of uncertainty about crime rates. Families who once found refuge in York are pausing. Investors are exiting rapidly. Many homeowners who bought at the peak now find themselves underwater, trapped by a market that moved faster than fundamentals could support. Downtown retains some of its charm: coffee shops, revitalized warehouses, and the first sparks of urban renewal. But hope is in short supply. York's collapse is more than a market story. It is a reality check for all small and mid-sized American cities that grew too fast, too soon. The state capital, Harrisburg, once seemed immune. For generations, Harrisburg's government base meant stability, even through recessionary waves that devastated other local economies. Government jobs anchored the city, and for years, private buyers, homeowners, and investors counted on Harrisburg to deliver steady returns in every market cycle. But not in 2025. Prices in Harrisburg are down nearly 13% in a single year, with declines recorded in every neighborhood, from uptown to classic strongholds like Camp Hill. Houses that once attracted multiple offers now sit idle for months. Inventory has climbed sharply, while buyer activity has evaporated. The city's intricate tax structure has turned homeownership into a chore, with heavy property taxes layered on top of city-based surcharges. Even government employment has failed to provide full insulation. Job growth in the private sector has stalled, especially in logistics and small business sectors that boomed during the pandemic. First-time buyers are backing out, concerned about increasing insurance rates and the unpredictable costs of ownership in the city. Even luxury developments along the Susquehanna River, once seen as symbols of Harrisburg's prosperity and rebirth, are loaded with empty units and developer incentives. Formerly reliable rental markets are now in doubt. As investors look elsewhere, the city faces a growing gap between price and value, demand and supply. Still, Harrisburg has not lost its appeal entirely. The riverfront and the food scene downtown have personality, and restored brick buildings hint at a comeback that could be possible with the right policy shifts. But for now, the buyer pool is cautious, hesitant, and waiting for the bottom. Harrisburg's shield of stability has cracked. Even the most government-backed economies can bend under the weight of modern costs. Pittsburgh's decline is a shock to many. Once the steel capital of the world, Pittsburgh reinvented itself as a tech hub, boasting glass towers, clean rivers, and a bustling community of startups and knowledge workers. For most of the last decade, this city was seen as the comeback story of the Rust Belt, resilient to economic stresses, and always just one innovation away from another boom. But in 2025, Pittsburgh is falling, and fast. Median home prices have dropped 17% from their pandemic-era highs. Hot neighborhoods like Bloomfield, Lawrenceville, and the South Side, all magnets for young professionals, are full of listings that sit for months without movement. The tech sector, once a driver of strong local demand, is stumbling. Startups are downsizing, layoffs are spreading across major employers, and the flow of well-paid transplants has dried up. Multifamily investments that were once bulletproof are now sitting vacant or selling at a loss, as rent demand cools and new short-term rental restrictions add uncertainty for investors. Downtown office vacancies linger, keeping blocks quiet and dark after hours and undermining the sense of vibrancy that once made Pittsburgh irresistible. Zoning and property use policy changes have compounded investor anxiety. Owners are also struggling under the weight of rising insurance premiums and increasing property taxes, while population stagnation continues to suppress new demand. Even as Pittsburgh remains visually iconic, from its sunrise-lit bridges to history-rich neighborhoods, its housing market is caught in a cold reset. Confidence is fading, developers are pausing new projects, and buyers are holding out for even lower prices. This is not just correction, it's a reversal of the Rust Belt's most watched recovery. Pittsburgh will recover, but the rebound will not be quick, and the scars will last. All of this brings us to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania's largest city and the epicenter of the current collapse. Philadelphia, the sixth most populous city in the United States, is no stranger to cycles, but 2025 has delivered a crisis of confidence the city hasn't faced since the aftershocks of 2008. From the iconic cobblestone charm of Old City to the brownstone blocks of West Philly, the market is unraveling. Home price declines range from 12% in Center City and Fishtown to more than 22% in North and West Philadelphia. The days of frenzied bidding wars are over. Crime perception, high property taxes, and the degradation of city infrastructure are now the drivers of the downturn. Those who bought hoping for Airbnb fortunes are hard hit. Recent market restrictions on short-term rentals have left investors scrambling to unload properties at steep discounts. Flip projects, once the engine of local real estate, are stalling, and half-finished rehabs dot neighborhoods across the map. Inventory is locked, as many would-be sellers choose to rent rather than sell at heavy losses. Meanwhile, developers are holding unsold properties, waiting out city permit delays, and a buyer pool that has grown deeply cautious. Downtown relocations, a major force in previous market cycles, have slowed to a trickle. Philadelphia's problems are layered. An affordability crisis collides with a crisis of confidence, and mortgage rates remain high as wages stagnate and insurance premiums eat further into equity margins. The city's skyline still shimmers at night. Independence Hall, the bridges, the sweep of the Delaware River. But beneath the glow is fatigue and doubt. Philadelphia stands as the epicenter of Pennsylvania's housing decline. This crisis is not just about price drops, it is about the erosion of faith in the city's future. Until Philadelphia confronts its core issues with safety, taxes, and infrastructure, a true recovery will remain out of reach. A birthplace of American independence now faces the need for independence from a housing crisis of its own making. So, Where does Pennsylvania go from here? These 5 cities, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, York, and Allentown, are each uniquely challenged, but their collective experience is now shaping the future of housing across the nation. From steel towns to riverfront suburbs, the signs are undeniable. This housing market does not just show cooling trends, it demonstrates collapse in places no one ever expected. Whether you are a buyer, investor, or homeowner, knowing which markets are falling fastest could save you not just thousands, but the core of your financial security. Subscribe to Housing Intel for real-time data, urgent analysis, and boots-on-the-ground coverage that comes before the headlines. The shift is here. Pennsylvania is just the beginning. The lessons learned in the Keystone State will inform choices in every corner of America. Stay informed, stay protected, and stay with us, because knowledge is your best insurance in a market this unpredictable.